Welcome back to the Slimming World Kitchen. I'm Sal Henley and we're going to cook up a delicious Kati-style beef wrap. It's from our lovely, great cookbook called the Ultimate Curry Cookbook from Slimming World. I can tell you this is fantastic. It's got over 70 recipes in here and they come from all street food recipes to Indian recipes to fusion curries. But like I said, we're going to do the Kati-style beef wraps. And traditionally they came from Calcutta, which is now called Kolkata, and they're from the West Bengal area, and normally they have paratha bread around them, but we've got a little tip. We're going to make a little egg omelette to wrap them up in. So let's get cooking with that. I'm going to get this pan really lovely and hot, and this is again the non-stick saute pan that I love. We're going to get it so hot that it's going to really brown the mince. We're going to use 250 grams of lean beef mince. It's just with 5% or less fat in it, and it's really delicious and meaty. So put that in the pan. You can hear that sizzle. That's what you're looking for, because we're really wanting to draw the moisture out of that and brown it up so it's lovely and sort of nearly crunchy. And to add to that texture, we've got one large red onion that we finely chopped as well, and that goes in. Simple as that. I'm going to use a little bit of low-calorie cooking spray. And you just put, I don't know, 3 or 4 pumps in there. So you add that in, so it just literally helps brown the meat rather than let it steam in there. Can you see me through the steam? So keep moving that around. You're trying to break the mince up as well so it's not in big clumps. And while that's cooking, we're going to prepare the other sort of really aromatic ingredients, which are the ginger and the clove garlic. So 1 big fat clove of garlic and about 3 centimeters of ginger. That's a bit more, but if I've got a little bit left over, I'll put that into an ice cube tray and freeze it, and then I can pull it out when I'm short on time. So I don't know, about 3 centimeters is probably to this level. And when you grate it, what it does is it removes all that fibrous part of it. So that's why you grate it, which is great. Try and not drop it. You know me, a very clumsy cook, but it eventually gets into the pan. So you see we've got that lovely flesh there. That can go in, and then make sure you get the back of it as well. Just a tip on the grater, when you're using a lime, a lot of people use it like that. I don't know why they do that. I tend to do that because then all the zest catches in there, it doesn't fall all over the board, and you can just bang it into the pan. Little tip for you there. And then garlic. Garlic's great, just grating it. If you can't be faffed with a garlic crusher, which I can't, because it's just too much washing up, if I'm honest. So this is great, just one tool does everything. And we'll put that in there as well. And you want to keep stirring that around because you don't want that to burn. I'll just turn that heat down a bit. There we go. Can't even see the food, can you? Here we go. You can see it's starting to really get a nice colour on it. And you want that sort of singy sort of flavour to it. Imagine street food, really hearty and delicious. And that's what we're looking for with that lovely caramelisation. Then what you do is add a tablespoon of curry powder. In the book, there's a great DIY curry powder I really recommend. Just make a batch load of it, put it in a jar, and it will last 2 or 3 months. If you can't be bothered with that, just buy one from the supermarket. You can get them mild, medium or hot. Choose which one you want. And just check though on the back of the ingredients, there's no flour, sugar or oil in there. So it's a tablespoon in. And we're going to give that a good stir. At this point, what you're trying to do is cook out the spice. You don't want that sort of raw spice to it. And this is where it has like 30 seconds to do that. You see how all that's really browning up nicely? And that toasty flavour will come through. Okay. There we go. And then what we're going to add is 2 tomatoes. They're just finely chopped. And then 1 red pepper, that's finely chopped as well. And then I'm just going to chop up a yellow pepper. I know you've all seen this 1,001 times, but if you haven't, this is a really quick way of doing a pepper. You take the top off and the bottom, put it on its side, put your knife in, pull away with your hand, and you're protecting your hand from being cut. There you go. And there's no waste. The core is taken out, the seeds are there, they're all good. So I'm just going to finely chop that. It doesn't have to be perfect. If you can't be bothered, you know, the onion and the pepper, you can just shove it in a food processor and just pulse it. I use my food processor a lot. I think people think, because I cook for a living, that I'm always chopping things by hand. I'm not. I'm a home cook like you guys at home, and I just do it roughly. You know, I'm not in a Michelin-starred restaurant. I'm cooking for my family at home. There we go. Bung it in. Now give that a good stir. And that's on a sort of medium to high heat. And we're just going to cook that through and basically keep a still bit of crunch to those vegetables. And you can season it up as well with some salt and pepper if you wanted to. So we'll just increase the heat, cook that for about 2 or 3 more minutes, and then it will be ready to go. And we're going to cook the egg omelette wraps. So look, the filling is all done. It's beautiful. It's got still a bit of crunch from the peppers in there, which is perfect. So I'm just going to put a lid on that and let's keep that warm while we make the wraps. And as I said before, we're going to substitute the bread that they normally use for an egg omelette, which would be fantastic. So we'll put that to one side. And then I've got a 20centimetre pan here. Or if you've got a bigger frying pan, it doesn't matter too much. You'll just have a thinner pancake to what I've got. So I'm just going to put that on a medium to high heat, and I've got 8 eggs here, and you just want to whisk those together with 2 teaspoons of cumin seeds. Now you could toast those to get a bit of extra flavour out of them, and when I say toast them, you could use this pan here and just put them in there, and when they start to smell very fragrant, you can remove them from the pan, and that's what we call toasting of spices. It just brings out the flavour of them. So give that a little whisk. And then let's add some coriander in. So I'm going to take a little bit from here. And if you're not confident with a knife, just use a pair of scissors. They're great for all sorts of things. I know somebody who actually chops everything with scissors. I'm not quite sure how that works with maybe an onion or something, but they do. So I'm going to add in quite a lot of that coriander because I love coriander. And then a bit of seasoning. Lots of black pepper. Remember, pepper is a spice itself, and people sort of forget that. They just think, oh, cumin, coriander are spices, but pepper is too, but we just use it every day, that's the thing. So this actually makes 4 wraps, so 2 eggs per wrap. So if you didn't feel confident putting it into a jug and doing it all at once, you could just crack in 2 eggs at a time and add a bit of fresh coriander and cumin seed into that, and then start again. So, bit of low-calorie cooking spray, non-stick pan really helps. And then what I'm going to do is just add in literally what I think is about 2 eggs worth, which I think is about that. Now with an omelette, you just need to keep it on the go like that a little bit so that you get it cooking and moving the pan around. It's a good skill to have actually, because this is a great sort of breakfast idea as well. And you can put like tomatoes in there, and you could use a bit of your healthy extra A for the day with a bit of cheese or some mushrooms, or even put some bacon in it with no fat on it. It was a nice little sort of breakfast idea. So just keep going with it. Just be patient. If you've got a bit of runny egg like I've got there, don't worry, it will cook up. I'm not a very patient cook. You can see I'm already wanting to play with it like that. But go steady with it and just stick with it. What will happen is it will cook around the edges, and you can see it starting to come away from there. And then we can turn it over. Now I'm going to use this sort of fish slice, but if you don't have one of these and you're thinking, oh, I don't know how to turn it over, you could get a plate, a dinner plate, put it on top, turn it over, just be careful that you're holding the handle with a cloth, and then pull it out onto the plate, tip it out, and then you can slide it back in off the plate. But I'm going with a trusty fish slice, she says. So I can feel that that's cooked underneath, and it's also releasing itself from the pan. So I'm just going to tease it underneath, like so. If you're not confident with this, just leave it for another 30 seconds. It won't do any harm, and just cook it a little bit more on top so it makes it a bit more stable. I'm going to go for it though. It might break a little bit. Oh, there we go. Never make omelettes in front of a camera is what I say. Anyway, there we go. So we've created that. Now just leave it for another 30 seconds to cook on the other side. And then that's the start of our wrap. So you repeat that process another 3 times and you'll end up with 4 great wraps. And then we're going to put the whole Kati-style beef wrap back together, and it will be delicious. So that's cooked that little wrap there, delicious. I'm going to just put that on a plate with some others I've made. So look at that, perfection. That doesn't often happen in my kitchen, can I tell you? Now I'm going to just create a lovely yogurt drizzle. This is 100 grams or 100 ml, same thing really, of Greek fat-free yogurt. And I'm going to put in the zest of half a lime, but I'm going to reserve the other half of the zest because we're going to use that as a little topping. Now you're probably wondering why I'm sort of rolling a lime on a board. This is just a good tip to get a bit more juice out of a lime. I'm one of those people that's in the supermarket squeezing all the sort of citrus fruit, see if it's got lots of juice in it. If it hasn't and it's a bit underripe, like this one, then you can just keep rolling it on the board for about 20 seconds and it breaks the cells down. Otherwise, pop it in a microwave for about 10-15 seconds and that will also do the same trick. So I have two, because one I'm going to cut into wedges and the other one I'm actually going to use in the drizzle. So I'm going to use half the zest for that. So I'm going to do the whole thing. I know you're probably thinking she's using the microplane upside down. I'm not. I just like to do it like this because it gathers everything up, keeps it neat and tidy, which is unusual for me. Put in some lime zest, the other half's there. Then I'm going to take that and cut that in half and use the juice. And the juice will thin that down so it becomes more of a drizzle. So you use a fork to get as much juice out of that as possible. See how much juice is coming out of that? I bet if I hadn't rolled that, you'd have half the amount of juice. And I like it really citrusy, so I'm going for a whole lime. But if you feel like after half of lime is in there and it's working for you, then just use that. Now, this is a good stage where you could have a bigger bowl, I find. But on this occasion, we've managed to carefully stir it together. And now we're going to use that to assemble the Kati-style beef wraps. So we have the yogurt drizzle, we've got our lovely egg wraps, and then we've also got our lovely beef over here, which has been keeping warm on the very low heat. And what you do, I like to do self-assembly at the table. Quite frankly, if I spent the time cooking the meal, I don't need to assemble it. So I would treat it a bit like fajitas and leave people to make their own things up. But they probably need to know how to make it up. So this is what you do. You just take the lovely egg omelettes and you put a bit of this mixture on the top. Now bear in mind this serves 4, so make sure you sort of divide it equally. Oh my God, can I say this is smelling great. It's a great recipe, this one. And then, so about that. Now, if you wanted to, you could chuck in some lovely crunchy lettuce into that. I'd use something like iceberg or gem lettuce and strips of cucumber and even raw pepper. I know you've already got pepper in there, but it's all about different textures. But I'm going to stick to the recipe for a change. And then I take the yogurt mix and you can just drizzle that over. Now you've added the lime juice, it will sort of flow easily, like so. And then I like to put a little bit of chopped coriander on top. Just steal it from this plant over here. And when I say chopped, it's more ripped, like so. And then a little bit of the lime zest. It really makes a difference, that little lime zest. This has more flavour really than the juice. And there you go. You can basically just then fold it up like so and pick it up and eat it by hand, or you can put it on your plate and eat it with a knife and fork. How delicious is that? And I like it. It's a great little alternative to any fajitas you might have as well.